Welcome to another segment of Lady Mogul Talk. And today we have, you know what? Let me start over. I'm sorry. Is it Megan or Megan?
No one ever asked, but it's Megan.
Megan. Okay, just want to make sure because I know people say it differently. So we'll start over. And I always want to make sure I get names right because nobody gets my name right usually. Okay, so we'll start over. Thank you for your patience. Okay, so welcome to another segment of Lady Mogul Talk, and today we have Megan King, a human resources professional who is passionate about people, strategy, and creative big picture approaches. She currently works within marketing, advertising, and the entertainment space, driving strategy, engagement, D&I, and leveraging HR for sustainable growth. And we also should give a warm congratulations because she recently joined Detroit's entrepreneurial scene with not one, but two business ventures, Royal Luxe Event Design, a boutique and event planning company, and Liquid Lush, a luxury mobile bartending company. So I can't wait to learn more about Megan and her ventures. Welcome, Megan.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so happy to have you here, and I cannot wait to learn more about your background. So what have I missed? I know there's so many great things we can highlight, but what would you like me to start the conversation with?
Well, one of the things I think that really has played a part into who I am, both professionally as well as my entrepreneurial journey, is that I am a native of Flint, Michigan. Born and raised, I'm a graduate of Michigan State University. So as people talk about hustling harder, that's one of those things that I always keep in the back of my mind, whether it's my corporate life or my entrepreneurial things. 100% I am out there trying to not only get to the money, but also have an impact.
Yes, that's true. And I hate to digress just a little bit. Every so often, we still hear about the Flint, Michigan water crisis. How is that, digressing a lot here, but how is that going on? And I know this volunteerism is actually a part of your purpose. So we can even start there. Like, what is the importance of volunteerism? And then what is going on with Flint right now?
So unfortunately, all of my family has moved away from the city of Flint as a result of everything that has happened. But for those of my friends or those kinds of people who still have people within the city, it is still ongoing. I know for me, there are some alumni networks, etc., that are still constantly asking for monthly donations, that kind of thing. So I've been participating in that way. And at the very beginning of it, as far as a kickoff, I did go and volunteer and donate water and deliver water and that kind of thing. But I think it's at the point where both the citizens and those in even the Metro Detroit area, which isn't too far, are just waiting to see what the resolution will be, what will be the resolve. There's tons of lawsuits, there's tons of conversations, but there's not anything that's actually been decided or anything that's actually been done as far as making sure that those residents who are dealing with that contaminated water have a different source of water or are able to relocate. So I think that there's been justice done to the city of Flint, and I think that it has not been resolved. For me, it's just still the same constant prayer of I'm hoping that something will happen.
And that's, I just remember when it first came out, and I think it was maybe a few weeks ago, little Miss Flint, who's not so little anymore, she's still highlighting it. I'm like, goodness, I just remember when she was a child and, this crisis first came to light. So I just think it's interesting how we still hear about it occasionally, but we really don't hear about issues such as this anymore, especially in Flint.
No, not in Flint, and not even as as I said, now I currently live in Metro Detroit, but I spend time in East Lansing still. And for maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, there was a petition going around the Michigan State University campus about donating water to, I can't even remember where, but it was somewhere that was another country. And in the back of my mind, and I think I verbally said it to the person who had the petition, well, we've got Flint just down I-75. They still need water. They still need support. So an initiative like yours, what are you guys doing? And the response that I got was oh, I didn't think that was still going on, that kind of thing. So I think awareness is down, but it is important to realize that it's still an ongoing issue.
Yes, well, I will make sure that is highlighted on this platform because we need to know. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. And thank you for letting me just, pivot just a little bit. But back to you and highlighting you as a lady mogul. First of all, congratulations on your 2 businesses. I think that is amazing. What got you started in event planning and designing? And then also, what motivated the mobile bartending? I remember maybe like it might have been 5 years ago. It was really not heard of, but I feel like it's becoming more and more in the forefront, which is needed because who doesn't want mobile bartending on the go?
Yes, yes. So the event planning piece actually comes from, I guess you could call it like a familial passion. So
Mm-hmm.
my grandmother had tons of children. My mother was the oldest of nine. From that, when she passed away a couple years ago, we finally did our count, etc. She had 67 grandchildren and 113 great grandchildren. A dinner essentially was a party. So you've got like, okay, who gets plasticware, who gets actual china, like who's coming, who's indoors, who's outdoors, like all of that kind of thing was like logistics. And then my grandma was really, really good about making everything pretty. So even
Mm-hmm.
had floral arrangements, that kind of thing. So essentially growing up, that's what I got used to. So by the time I got to college, etc., 100%, if I was having a party, if I was having my girlfriends over, or we were having a girls' night in, I was making it pretty. Like we had floral arrangements, we had themes, like that kind of thing. So I essentially just turned that passion into a business. I now have done about 13 weddings, tons of baby showers and birthday parties, and then I've done 6 major corporate events as of to date since I've actually made an LLC.
Wow.
I can say is that as long as you always bring a personal touch to event planning, you'll do relatively well.
Mm-hmm.
I have not been running an actual formalized website as a result of my corporate job and just not really have the time to dedicate to what I want it to look like. It's
Mm-hmm.
works for this upcoming fall, but all the business that I've gotten, I can say, came from word of mouth. So again, the personal touch does go a long way.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Good. No, go ahead.
Oh, and then I was going to say for the mobile bartending business, essentially that is how I got through college. I bartended my way through school. Of course, I had like financial aid, student loans, those kinds of things. But as far as spending money, instead of just doing the retail thing or working in the caf, like all of the other opportunities, I just found it a lot easier to go make cold hard cash in a couple nights and spend the rest of my week studying. So I took that with me to San Francisco. And then when I came back to the Metro Detroit area, I figured, why not? There's tons of opportunities to make mobile bartending a thing. There was already, I think, another company here doing the same thing. So I kind of was like, okay, there's a market for it. Let's see what it looks like.
Mm-hmm. Now, I want to ask a follow-up question because it said recently that you started your business. So how recent are we talking?
We are talking within the last 18 months.
Okay, so, and that's where I wanted to go. So this answers my question perfectly. I just want to make note that you were still relatively new when COVID hit, and you still had all of this business, and you didn't even let something as like a website hold you back, and you again had all of this business. And I wanted to point that out because so many people get hung up on little things. Oh, I don't have the logo, I don't have my colors together. But you said, no, we're just going to go for it and go, not let procrastination or perfection hold you back. So I just wanted to make a point of that. That's why I asked that question. And I think that is so important to highlight. Kudos to you, because a lot of people don't, say, oh, I'm not going to do it. It's not ready.
Yeah, I 100% am a firm believer of not getting caught up in analysis paralysis.
Mm-hmm.
So not having a website or not exactly knowing what your branding is going to look like, get started and it'll kind of like organically evolve into what you need it to be. I know with both of my businesses, that's where we are. We're planning the fall launches as far as the websites and then some rebranding specifically on the mobile bartending side.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that I would have been able to get to where I am now if I hadn't have just decided to start it. Just do it.
Just do it. Like Nike. Now, pivoting just a little bit, you are a part of this great collaboration called the Loveliness Project, and I want to make sure I'm going to read because I want to make sure I highlight every single detail. It is a platform dedicated to elevating the voices of Black women through storytelling, and through this project, you hope to inspire and empower women to share their experiences, their trials and tribulations, in hopes to recognize their own journey through the arts. And the book launch is going to be released during summer 2021, so we can't wait to see the stories that you and so many other women are sharing. So tell us, what was it like to be a part of this project, collaborate with other women, and then what can we expect from your section without giving away?
So I am just as excited as you guys are for the launch this summer. It is such a wonderful project. I know we always talk about diversity and we're talking about like between the sexes, between the races, all of those things, but there's so much diversity within just the stories of Black women. And I think the Loveliness Project does an excellent job of capturing that. So you've got a bunch of women from a bunch of different walks of life, lots of different perspectives, etc. And to be able to put together that anthology and really, really get something out there that's positive and uplifting is amazing. For me, because I am such a people-centric person in what I do, both in my corporate role as well as entrepreneurial, what you can expect from my section is a little bit of a story that applies to you no matter where you are, what you're doing. So whether you're in corporate America or you're deciding to launch your business or you're a stay-at-home mom, etc., you can expect to read it and relate. I don't want to give too much of it away, so it's relatable, it's uplifting, and it's lighthearted.
And I can't wait to read it. All the books will be sold on Amazon and exclusively on the Loveliness Network website. And I love that a portion of the proceeds are going to be given to the Ladybugs, a 501c3 mentoring organization committed to ensuring that every girl is empowered and works to empower others. So I can tell just from interviewing some of the other ladies and yourself that this is a great call. So I'm sure from the get-go, you were like, this is something that I need to be a part of. Not only are you getting to share your story, but you're also giving back to others.
Yes, 100%. And that is probably one of the things that drives me in every way. My mother used to always tell me, and it's funny because it could be on a given day, it could be on a day where you were having a great day, or it could be on a day where you were being a little bit ungrateful about all of your blessings. But she would always say that you are not to just take from this world, you are to give back. So for me, that is pretty much how I approach my everyday, whether it's volunteerism or just sharing a piece of information. Last week I was at the grocery store and a young lady was like on the phone, and I could tell she was talking about like a last minute college decision. And I waited for her to finish, and I kind of just told her what I heard, told her kind of what I knew about that situation, and like who to call. And I gave her my business card. And Saturday, actually, she sent me a text message just saying, like, thank you so much. I didn't actually know which direction to go. Calling that, getting that information. She was like, we got it settled. I'm all set. I just want to say thank you. Because I told her, I was like, I'm sorry I'm eavesdropping. But she's like, I just want to say thank you for eavesdropping and thank you for sharing what you know. So it's like, even in the smallest, ways, you can always give back or pull forward.
Right. And I'm glad that you brought that story up, because sometimes we are so afraid to speak out or say, oh, we're going to be in their business. They might not want me to be, but you never know whose life you can touch with just speaking up. You never know who needed to hear what you had to say. So I'm so glad that you brought that up.
Yeah, I think that's probably also the best part of the Loveliness Project is that it allows women to have voices, to know that it's okay to speak up, and know may not be published in that particular anthology. It should encourage you. Some of the stories that I've read and seen, it should encourage you to use your voice on a daily basis. If there's something that you have to say or something that you think is worth sharing with the world, 100% say it. And I know that they're going to have some other opportunities via blog posts, etc., to do that. So if there's that does read the project and is touched by it, reach out, share your story, share your voice. That's so very important.
And the funny thing is, as you were speaking, so what came to mind just now was, of course, Representative Maxine Waters said reclaiming our time. But I'm like, oh, reclaiming your voice, reclaiming our Black voice. And that's what I see throughout all of the authors, yourself, just being able to share those stories, because in those stories, as you said, we do touch other people. We never know who is going through those personal battles and needs to hear what we have to say. So I'm so excited with the book, everyone. Now, transitioning just a little bit, you have an MBA from Michigan State. Now, what lessons have you learned from your MBA that has translated to now your business, or just anything in general? I feel like every thing, whether we're in our career or not, we learn lessons that can be applied to whatever we do.
So I am an MBA candidate. I do graduate this upcoming May 22nd. Because I don't want anybody talking about something. Now, she said she had. And I'm like, no.
Excuse me, I stand corrected. She is getting her MBA.
Right. I would have to say is the most important is that key thing of building relationships. So I
Mm-hmm.
probably imagine I'm at Michigan State University. It is a PWI, so you can probably imagine my experience as far as diversity goes. I am in my particular cohort the only person of color besides one gentleman who's Middle Eastern, and then I'm
Mm-hmm.
the only Black woman. So within my cohort, I've again tried to use my voice, tried to voice concerns depending on what we're talking about. When we're talking about finance and we're doing like the real world assessments, and there's the
Mm-hmm.
people who are talking about financial aid and how like, oh, it's going to be the death of America because those people are taking out student loans, cutting it short. Who are those people? Let's talk about it, like that kind of thing. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Definitely the building relationships and using my voice piece and pairing them together. There's been tons of times when someone has been completely pissed about something that I said as a response to something that they said. And I've simply pulled them aside at the end of class to be like, so you're pissed. Let's talk about it. And in the end, what I found is that people are a lot more respectful and a lot more receptive than you would think. Pull them aside and you say, I'm not attacking you, but let's talk about it. Let's talk about your information and the information that I have. The
Mm-hmm.
secondary piece that I would think is probably like really, really been impactful to me is going to be those courses that are based in math. So that's going to be finance, econ, etc. So actually understanding what's written within The Economist and understanding Bloomberg have been monumental for me. It's been easier to understand what the trends are as far as finance, what inflation is really looking like, when you need to go up on your prices, when you need to run a deal, like that kind of thing. So it's been like, that has been 100% monumental for me. And then the third piece, I think, has just been being able to say, like, I'm a candidate and that I am going to graduate. There is a lot of conversation about the importance of undergraduate degrees and especially about graduate degrees, but I
Mm-hmm.
still think that there is worth within a graduate degree. And I also know that
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of Black women specifically who are out there getting them and struggling throughout it. There's a podcast that I found that's like Black in Grad School or something like that that I found really, really helpful because on
Mm-hmm.
a given day where I'm having some type of struggle, I've been able to kind of scroll through whatever they've got posted and find something that applies, that's uplifting, that kind of thing. So those would be my top three things, top four things, I'm sorry. With the fourth being like, find someone else who's got an experience like yours, similar to it, to keep yourself going.
Well, first of all, I am jealous because I wish I had that resource when I was in grad school for public administration. And I remember sleeping for 2 straight weeks after graduation. I was like, I'm done. So I know you're looking forward to that too, where you can just say it's over. But that's great that you mentioned that. There is still value in education, no matter if it's a traditional education or something. We always should reinvest in our knowledge in some way, and then you just never know how you can apply that knowledge. Even though my degree personally was in public administration, I found ways to apply it to business and just other aspects of my life. So you just never know what information will help you in the end.
100%, 100%. I think that it is so necessary.
Definitely. Now, I also want to highlight, because you are a woman who does it all, about your mentoring and your mentorship of other youth of youth. So tell us, how did you get started with mentoring? Why was it important? Of course, we see a theme again of you giving back. So why was it important to specifically touch youth?
Specifically for youth, because I can remember all of the women and men who put their time out there for me when I was a
Mm-hmm.
youth. So I always thought that my mom was the best thing ever. But one of the things she also always said was like, you need somebody besides me.
Mm-hmm.
So she would enroll me in programs, summer camps, that kind of thing. And from that is where I kind of built my like additional village. Those
Mm-hmm.
that help mold me, those who would help me decide, okay, what kind of university do you want to go to? What kind of woman do you want to be overall? Like having those conversations that sometimes can get missed or sometimes just need a perspective of someone who's outside of your family. I remember how important those were for me. I remember how often I would pull on those conversations throughout college or hard times. So for me, it was just about doing that exact same thing. It is the Midnight Golf program out of Detroit that is like my baby, my favorite. It's not my baby, I didn't create it, but it's my baby. Like it's very, very important to me and near and dear. So it is a college preparatory and life skills program that focuses on high school seniors headed into college. So for that senior year, 100%, we are helping them just to understand like what that next step looks like. We're talking about some of the things that sometimes are missed, like finances and credit. They are actually learning how to play the game of golf and to play it well, since, you know, so many business deals and conversations happen on the golf course.
Very true.
They're finding that additional camaraderie. They're finding those who will be attending the same university as them that they may not have known prior to, so that they have that link when they first get there. And overall, it's just 100% trying to give them a launch pad into that next step of life. So the tagline for MGP is college, career, and beyond. And the program does 100% do that. For that one, it is probably one of the better programs that I've ever seen. And I've lived between Michigan, I've been in San Francisco, Ohio, that kind of thing. And just the amount of students that they touch and the way that they make it such a personal experience for each of them is just awesome. They pair them up with a one-on-one mentor in addition to having the cohorts. There's the opportunities for scholarships that you would never actually see outside of that. There's actual MGP scholarships where you've got like the NBA former players group. I can never remember it. I'm so sorry. That particular group every year does 2 or 3 scholarships specifically just for MGP. So it's like there's additional money out there for them. It helps with them actually making their decisions on what universities they're going to go to. It talks about student loan debt, how to manage it. Is it really want? It's like all of those things that are out there and kind of buzzing through senior year where you've got so many other things going on. It 100% focuses in on those and make sure that you have enough information to make some educated decisions.
That is so necessary, especially in today's society, and then this changing society, because I said it, I think I've said it before, but I could not imagine going to school or just in like interacting in this type of environment. Of course, we had those personal interactions growing up in college, you know, we had those personal interactions, but in this digital space, I think that is still a way to bridge the gap between what we formerly knew as normal and then, as they say, I hate to say what the cliche, but the new normal, you know. So yeah. I think it's so important to have those programs to invest in the youth and prepare them for the opportunities that exist out there. Now, I can only say my only claim to golf is when I had my little plastic golf clubs as a little girl. I wasn't good, but you know, I pretended, and I do want to get back to maybe trying that out. So I think that is so unique to be able to give that skill to youth, especially as you said, a lot of those conversations, the big conversations, do happen on the golf course. So I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably one of the biggest things that the students always say is that, like, oh, when I tell people that I know how to play golf and I actually am like good at it, people are always really surprised. And the other thing that they always say is thank you, thank you, thank you, because they do all get their own set of golf clubs, as well as like a starter kit of things you would need on the golf course. So a few golf outfits, your actual golf bag, like that kind of thing. So it really is an awesome program. It's like every time I even think about it, it makes me smile.
Oh, goodness. Can I pretend? Sometimes they say I look like I'm 14, so maybe I should come sign up.
Anybody that's in the Metro Detroit area, always looking for additional.
That is wonderful. Okay, that's so great. I wish we had something like that, and maybe I should look that up. Maybe we do have something like that. So that gives me an idea. Now, I hate to always bring the Lady Mogul Talks to a close because everyone is so phenomenal. Are there any last words that you would like to share with our audience? And then also, don't forget to plug in your business and how we can keep up with you.
All right. The only thing that I would want to close with is just a reminder. I think that you said it best with, hey, all of those out there, reclaim your voice. There's a lot to be said. There's a lot of perspectives and experiences to be shared. If you have one, whether it's via your social media, a project like the Loveliness Project, etc., like 100% use your voice. And then as far as following me, you guys can keep up with me on Instagram at Just the Megaphor. So JUSTAMEGAPHOR. It's a play on Just the Metaphor.
I love it. And so thank you so much, Megan King, for joining us for another segment of Lady Mogul Talk. And we will see you next time for another segment.